Hey guys, Lizardlea here for day 2 of Mandala Hummingbird by Awesome Pattern Studio. I should get this finished today. There's not much left. So I'm gonna go cross stitch.
Alrighty, so David and I haven't watched anything new recently. We still have to watch Loki.
Yep.
And then other things. Like, I just know that's the next one on the list. So David told me I should talk about Pathfinder. So if anybody likes to play PC games, or can you play it on console?
It did come out on console, but if I recall correctly, it's still kind of buggy.
Okay,
So
well, I play it on my computer, and it's actually very similar to Baldur's Gate in that, it's based off of Pathfinder / D&D, whatever. You can look up the difference for that if you want to. The Pathfinder...
So in the beginning... No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, it started with D&D, and Pathfinder is like kind
made
of
D&D
quasi-based off of it.
They made D&D 4, all the people who liked 3.5 D&D, when we don't like 4, we're making our own D&D, and it's called Pathfinder.
And now there's D&D 5e.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
it branches out, and you pick whichever one you prefer. And so Baldur's Gate is specifically D&D, right? D&D 5e?
Yes.
And then
With
Pathfinder.
some tweaks, but yeah.
Well, yeah. And then Pathfinder is actually based off of Pathfinder. There isn't a second one, right? It's still just Pathfinder.
No,
Or-
Pathfinder 2 did actually come out kind of
there
recently.
is. Okay.
But the game that's coming out is not based on that.
It's still based off the original Pathfinder.
Right.
Okay. So, I will say I have extremely limited knowledge of Pathfinder. Like, I had no knowledge of Pathfinder, actually. I've played 2 D&D games, and I am literally on the second to last episode of Critical Role Campaign 1. So I'm on episode 114 of 115. So I have some knowledge of D&D, and I do think that has helped me in playing Pathfinder. But I would say Baldur's Gate has helped me significantly more than anything in being able to play Pathfinder, because this game is not intuitive at all. It's not. You can laugh at me, but it's not.
No. It's so like classic 3.5 / Pathfinder is already kind of not intuitive. It's like, oh, what if there were valves and knobs and whistles on everything? And then Pathfinder Kingmaker did not do a great job making that much easier. It is definitely a experience to get into. Because it's just like you're overwhelmed with options immediately. Just on like character creation for one character, it's here's a million bells and whistles, and you don't know what any of them really mean or do. Probably like if you're coming in brand new. Good luck figuring out what actually matters here. And then, even on easy, you might be okay. You'll probably be okay, but like it's very easy to build something that won't work well, and you'll be like, oh crud, I didn't realize that this doesn't work with that, or oh, I should have done this. There's a lot of right answers, but there's a lot of wrong ones too. And then after you go through the entire nightmare of building your character, you then start getting into like, oh, I've got to equip them. Oh, I've got to figure out this. Oh, I've got to figure out that. And then you meet the other, 8 characters that you get?
Oh, there's more than 8 companions.
More than 8. Yeah. Plus you can build your own. So
yeah. You can have an infinite... Well, I'm sure at some point they're like, you can't have more than 10 extra made characters. But... Yeah, I've made at least 2. I ended up reloading a previous save and not doing that. But, oh my goodness. Yeah, so Druid is my favorite class. I love being able to shape change into animals. Like, I love that. I love being able to use spells and being able to attack. Like, I feel like Druids are very versatile in that way, and that there is a lot available to them. And the nice thing about Druids being spellcasters, all of the spells that a Druid can learn, they know. You have to prepare them ahead of time, but you can prepare any of them. If you're a bard, you only get, you can pick Dimension Door. You can pick Bigby's Hand. And that's it. Like, yes, you can summon Bigby's Hands, 6 times at 4th level or whatever, But hey, I just hit my step goal, waving my arms around.
Well done, dear.
I don't know if my microphone picked it up, but my watch buzzed at me. And although that can be like really clutch, watching Critical Role, Scanlan the Bard has been like MVP of almost every fight he's in. So just saying, like, if you know how to play, you got this. But I just like being able to have like everything available. It's very nice. I quite enjoy it. But oh my goodness. As a person who always spends like 2 hours creating her character, I spent like a day making my character for Pathfinder. Because I was like, okay, I want Druid. But then, there isn't just Druid. There's a Druid, there's a Fey Speaker, there's like not Pestilence, but like a
Blight Druid.
A Blight Druid. And there's another one. There's 4 kinds of Druids you can be. And then... well, I'm not getting into that. I'm at the start of the game. I am a level 1. I don't have that option yet. So I actually did not see that I could be 3 other kinds of druids. I just picked the regular druid, which sometimes I regret and sometimes I look back and I'm like, no, I'm glad I did that. So a druid can do a couple different things. I chose to have an animal companion. And you guys, this animal companion literally got me through the first half of the game. I'm just saying that animal was clutch. He had 5 attacks every time he attacked, and it was amazing. So, thankfully I didn't have to level up my cat, but it was just, oh my god. But then you do start leveling up, and you have feats. And you have skills, and you have to decide where you want to put things, and it's just, it's a lot of work. And then you have all of your companions. So, I am level 20. I cannot level up anymore, and honestly, the amount of stress that just rolled off of my shoulders the moment I leveled up my final character to level 20 was so nice. But...
No, it's a game, guys. I have lots of fun. Twitch.
Oh, I do have a lot of fun, but it also gives me anxiety. But I will say, if you're like me, and you're really worried you're going to screw up and build a character in a way that won't work, or just you won't like, there is a character, I mean, so long as you select it in your difficulty options, that you can change your characters. There's a character you can meet, a Noriel, I think is her name. You speak to her, and you can just rebuild your character from the ground up. So with your own character, that means you start from literally the very beginning. If I decided right now as a level 20 druid that I wanted to be a bard instead, I would start as a level 1 bard, and I could just repick everything. So that's nice. You know, there were a couple characters. There's one character in the game, Tristan, who I didn't realize this because I guess I just didn't read, you know, one of the 50 million things on every single character in the game. The path that was chosen for him, you do not get to choose this. The path chosen for him with his religion and his god is that he cannot wear armor and cast spells. So if you put him in heavy armor so he has a good armor class, he can't use spells. He can't even use level 1 spells, you guys. He can't do squat. And when I saw that he couldn't put on light armor, I was like, oh, it's a feat to become proficient in armor. I'm going to give him the light armor proficiency. And then I put light armor on him, and I tried to cast a spell, and I couldn't. And I was like, what? What did I do? And I researched it, and I was like, oh, I really wish they had done the thumbs down next to armor proficiencies for him, or even just blacked it out and been like, hey, your character shouldn't take this because he has an agreement with his god to not do this. But whatever. So that was frustrating, but I met that character and I redid his build and I chose a different feat for him that worked out much better. And I was much happier with him. Yeah. I don't know. Your typing is like it's distracting me.
Sorry.
Your turn to talk. I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, just in general, like, one of the big problems I think with all of these is that you kind of... It's very easy to get in a state where you're just like, oh, okay, there's too much. So my advice to lots of people is, like, don't overdo it. Don't try to do everything at once. You're gonna hate it. So if you need to use a guide, use a guide. Like, if you don't want to build a certain character, just go look up how to build them. Because trying to figure out everything yourself, you're just going to walk into so many traps.
The game does have the option of doing the pre-built for all the characters, but you can't just do it for, like, one. It does it for all of them.
Yeah.
So...
That's why I say if you want to have some customization, just look up a guide.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, you can either do that, look up a guide, or pick what you want. I was generally very boring. My character that started as a level 1 fighter is now a level 20 fighter. My character that was a level 1 tower shield specialist is now a level 20 tower shield specialist. And I play on easy, so, it was never going to be insane. But there have been points where I've had to, like, reload a save because I was like, yep, I did not prepare well for that fight. I screwed up. If I was playing a real D&D game, that would have probably been a TPK. Or at least a couple characters would have died, and... But I will say, again, in the difficulty, you have the option of your character hits 0 hit points and they just pass out. At the end of the battle, they stand up at 1 hit point, but they have the death's door condition on them. So if you go and you rest somewhere, it removes it and you're fine, or you do a greater restoration and they're fine. But if you do not remove the death's door condition and they die again in battle, then they permanently die.
Yeah.
I have never lost someone twice. I've had several characters get the death's door condition on them, including my cat, which always really upset me, because I was like, no, I would literally not be here without my cat right now. My cat can't die.
Yeah.
That cat was very clutch in the beginning. The sad thing is, when, like, right now I'm level 20, and I'm a druid, so my wisdom is very high. It is very rare for me to, like, become frightened or anything like that. But my cat, like, he becomes frightened constantly. So he's generally just running away from fights at this point. So it's like, yes, early on having a pet companion, super great. Later on, they're, perpetually 3 or 4 levels behind you. And then they're animals. They can only get so high. Like... The strength goes up, the size goes up, I think the dex goes up maybe, but their int doesn't go up. So they're not smarter, they're not wiser, so, like, you really have to buff them to be able to keep them in the fight. Which can be frustrating, but, whatever. What else was I going to say?
You were going to say stuff about things. Or you're going to talk about the plot and the characters.
I mean, I know we already talked a little bit about the plot. You're a baron. You have to defend your barony. And...
Well, I mean, at the time, you were not as far into the plot as you've gotten. So, I mean, for example, I don't think you'd met all the companions. You haven't talked about them.
Well, okay, so there are a crap ton of companions.
Yes.
The ones that I kept in my party almost permanently were Valerie, the tower shield specialist. I really liked her. Amiri, the fighter. No, excuse me. The barbarian. She's a barbarian. And Valerie is a fighter, and then she's specifically a tower shield specialist. So there's breakdowns. Yeah, like, I could have been a face speaker druid. I'm just a druid. Amiri is just a barbarian, but Valerie is a fighter and... oh my god, tower shield specialist. I have Octavia, who is... Well, I think when you meet her, she's like 2 levels into rogue, 1 level into wizard. When I originally played, I took her further into rogue, And I have now since completely changed her build, and I've mostly taken her down the wizard route, actually. Because another character I always had in my party was Lindsay, and she's a bard. And she was essentially my rogue character for a very long time. I just had her, what is the word I'm looking for? Her pickpocketing, that's not the word, but...
Shoot, what is it? Rogue junk. Sleight of hand. No?
That's not...
Roguery. Meanie stuff.
Whatever. One of the things that you can put a bunch of skill points into, whatever one, lock picking, it's not lock picking, but that's what it is basically, is you use it to pick locks and detect traps, or excuse me, open traps?
Sleight of hand?
No, it's not sleight of hand. It starts with like mobility and athletics. It's not sleight of hand. I know it's not. And I'm not going to open up the game just to get it right now because it's not worth it.
I'm actually trying to look it up and I can't remember what those are called.
Skill points. You put skill points into them.
Yeah, but the problem is that... So acrobatics, appraise, bluff...
No, that's not the ones in the game.
No, that's farther down. See, the problem is I think in original Pathfinder it's sleight of hand, but in Pathfinder Kingmaker they did something.
Yeah, that's something else. But I put all of her skills into that. So eventually I was like, there's no point in me putting Octavia's skills into that as well, because Lindsay almost never fails, and Lindsay's skills there are higher. So I rebuilt Octavia completely. I made her a wizard, and that was nice. And Tristan, my cleric, who also became my husband. Depending on how you play the game, you can, romance people, and I romanced Tristan. And I did Google how to do that, because very early on, I was like, yeah, whatever, maybe I'll romance one of the girls, because they're pretty, I don't know. And then I met Tristan, and eventually I was like, you know what? I kind of like him. He's really sweet. He's really nice. And I Googled how to romance him, and I was like, I'm glad I did, because I probably would not have been able to do this otherwise. It was not all intuitive, to me at least. So I succeeded in romancing him, and that was wonderful. And was that my core group? Valerie, Amiri, Lindsay, Octavia, Tristan. Yeah, the 5 of them. And the other one that I would frequently switch in and out was Knock Knock, the goblin. He was a rogue. Straight up all rogue. And I will say it... no, I don't want to get into spoilers, so we're going to ignore that. Another character I did have for a while, before I realized how much I liked Tristan, was Harem. He is also a cleric. Again, time went by, I realized I liked Tristan as a cleric, so I rebuilt Harem. I made him a sorcerer, and that was really cool. There are so many other companions, you guys. Like, it's overwhelming. I spent a lot of time leveling these guys up and focusing on their equipment, and if I found, a natural armor necklace plus 5, I would put that on them, and I would put the natural armor plus 4 necklace that was no longer on them onto one of the other side characters. So, because you don't want to leave them without anything if you're like me and you want to complete every single side quest. I completed every single companion's quest all the way through their whole quest line because that's what I do. Like, I want to beat all of the quests. I want to do everything. And I did read, if you don't complete their whole companion storyline, it can be incredibly difficult to keep them alive at the end game. And I'm pretty much at the end game. And the enemy is gigantic. It's like 50 times my size, super intimidating. And I'm slowly making my way towards him, and it's just, I don't know how this is going to go, you guys.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm playing on easy, but I don't know how this is going to go.
It just needs hugs.
Yeah, we'll go with that. So, eventually, my Baroness became a queen, and I am controlling all of the lands, and I am defending my lands from the first world, which is Fae. And, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just have to kill them all.
Yeah, not easy. Especially when they're always scaring my people. Like, I have, I think 3 crowns of vast, it's not intellect, mental perfection, that's what it is. And I put it on Valerie, Amiri, and Octavia? And Tristan? Like, I mean, like, pretty much everybody has one of those crowns on, because it's like, having a high wisdom and a high int is very important against the Fae, because if you fail your wisdom save or your int save, now you're frightened. You can't get closer to them. If you do, you're going to lose control of your character, and they're going to run as far away as they possibly can. And it's very frustrating to try and get them back into the fight when they're that far away.
Walk.
Oh, no, they run. They run away. They use their full movement. Sucks. So yeah, I've been talking for 20 minutes.
Okay. So.
Did you want to talk about the new Pathfinder?
Sure. I mean, but in the end, you've kind of enjoyed this, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You start level 1. I am level 20. And I'm still enjoying it. It's super difficult. Like, personally, I don't know if I will ever play it on a higher difficulty, just because that's not necessarily where I find enjoyment.
Well,
like, I know you do. I'm still facing difficulties in this game. Like, I don't feel like every fight is a breeze. If I did, then I probably would up the difficulty, but it's still crushing me sometimes.
I like upping difficulty when it brings more content. And to be clear on that, like, if you play a game, I don't know, think of, like, Mega Man.
Mm-hmm.
Mega Man doesn't get harder. It is what it is.
It is hard.
It is hard, usually, yes. Or some of them. But once you get good at it, there's no way to go, man, like, this game's too easy. I want to make it harder so it's fun again, because, like, now I know where everything is. I can always beat the level, It's like the people who do the randomizers in Zelda. They're looking for another way to make the game fun for them again, because otherwise it's too easy. In a game like Pathfinder, there's so much content to mess with that I'm not sure I'd ever really up the difficulty a ton, because it's not like, oh, I want to try and min-max and find out what builds are... Because, like, the more you up the difficulty, the less content is viable. I wanted to play a Blight Druid. Blight Druids are universally, as far as I can tell, regarded as a terrible class in that game. So I put the difficulty up kind of high when I was trying, and I had a lot of trouble, because Blight Druids kind of suck. And arguably on the hardest difficulties, you're just making your life even harder if you want to play that. So it's not actually fun to up the difficulty, in my opinion, in that case, because you're just removing content from the game. There's entire classes and builds that no longer work. And it's only to make it harder for the class. So, like, you have to have a very specific mindset of, like, no, I want to find out how to break this game and have the game try and keep up with me to want to up the difficulty on something like that. So no, I probably wouldn't. In fact, I'm probably going to lower the difficulty on the new one, because I have a character in mind. Like, I want them to have certain magics and skills and abilities. I don't want to have to not do that because the game won't let me, because, oh, you're just not, that doesn't work well enough. You're not good enough. You don't do enough damage now. You don't do enough healing,
I kind of wish every single route was viable.
It's
like,
hard
at least,
to
like, to some
balance
extent.
that.
I know it is.
Yeah.
I just... everything I read, because I did read guides as I went, you guys. Like, I'm not good at these kinds of games, and I'm okay with cheating in order to make sure all of my companions survive. I 100% admit to that. Yeah. David will tell you, you guys, I got to the end of the game, and you kind of lose your companions, and you have to run around, and you have to gather them again. And I found Knock Knock. And I was like, yeah!
Who's there?
Because I took Knock Knock down the hero route. You can take him down 2 routes, and the hero route is more difficult. But I really liked Knock Knock. I really enjoyed his character. And I was like, I want him to be a hero. I like his character. I want him to be a hero. And I did all of his side quests. And everything I read said if you do all of his side quests, he will survive. and the person who captured him did a finger of death spell on him, and he died. And I sat there for a solid minute.
Yeah, you were.
I was really upset, and David was making fun of me, and it was actually making me angry. And I know you caught on to that, because you eventually shut the hell up and stopped making fun of me, because I was really angry. Because I specifically was cheating to make sure these characters were going to survive. And
she'll kill me over that.
I won't kill you over it, but I will. Yes. I was about to turn the game off, put it on my laptop, and walk the hell away. Because I was not happy. And I was like, I do not want to be made fun of right now. Like, I was about to cry. Because I was like, if I literally cannot save Knock Knock right now, like, I don't want to play anymore. Like, I cheated in this game to keep these characters alive. And Knock Knock was one of the few that I wanted alive. Like, if Jubilost had died, I wouldn't have cared. Yes. I hated his character. He was a jerk the whole game. Mm-hmm. Okay, not the whole game, but like 95% of it.
A large percentage of the game.
And I didn't care. If Ragongar, whatever his name is, if he had died, I wouldn't have cared. I liked Knock Knock, so I did not want him to die. And I looked it up, and everything was saying if you did all of their companion quests, they would survive. So I was like, you know what? Maybe it glitched out on me. I reloaded an older save. I went back, and he was at 1 hit point after she hit him with the finger of death. And I was like, okay, he's not dead. I can heal him. I have healing characters. This is fine. So, how did I get on track with that?
Yeah,
I was cheating.
Yes, you're cheating. Characters.
And I was very upset that Knock Knock did not live. But I got him back, and he is alive, and he is in my party now.
All hail the Knock Knock.
Mm-hmm.
Who's there?
Knock Knock. I love him. I don't know, like, another thing is, like, you learn their backstories, and Knock Knock's, you know, spoilers, whatever, is that he got his name Knock Knock because the other goblins would pick on him, and, you know, like, throw rocks at his head, and, you know, knock knock. And I felt that. Like, I was not physically bullied, but, I was, like, verbally bullied, and so I identify with people who have been bullied, and I was like, no, Knock Knock is great. I literally, all of the goblins from his, like, former group that made fun of him, I killed all of them. Like, it was a slaughter. I was immediately like, I like Knock Knock. I hate these guys because they're making fun of him and they're being mean. They're gonna die. So I killed all of them. It was a really difficult fight, and it was worth it, and I'm still happy about it now. Like, he was upset with me, which just upset me more, because I'm like, no, you were a victim. You should not have ever liked them. They treated you horribly. I don't care. They're dead now.
I see.
I will say, one of the things I read, like one of the guides, it was like, if you want the game to be easier later, don't take Knock Knock as a companion. And I was like, nope, I'm going to play the whole game. I want everyone. Even if I don't like someone, I want them. And I liked Knock Knock, so of course I took him as a companion. There was never going to be a question about it. Like, if there was a character I would have said no to, it would have been Jubilost. He was a douchebag. Ugh. So, but I will say that is the thing. There was a very wide variety of companion characters. Who all didn't I talk about? Jaethal, a vampire, a gorgeous, mean lady vampire, but a vampire nonetheless.
This lady is mean.
She was really mean. Ragongar, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He was never in my party, but him and Octavia kind of have a thing. When you eventually, if you keep him on the route he's on, I could be wrong, I think he's Magus. He eventually gets wings. Super cool. Like, he's half dragon, I think. So that's cool, but I don't really care for his character that much. Yeah. Who else is there? There are, if you get the DLC, you get the tieflings, or tiefling, whatever. I really like her. I know there are other... Ekundayo, he is the ranger. I used Octavia, my wizard, and Tristan, my cleric, as ranged fighters. I didn't need another ranged person, especially because obviously I needed Tristan in my party. I needed some kind of cleric to heal everybody, very clutch moments. And then Octavia was also a wizard, so she had every single spell I could get my hands on. She had it. Like, there were scrolls, like, oh, I'm only going to get one this whole game. Octavia's going to learn that spell. I don't care. Like, she has pages upon pages upon pages of spells. I eventually got to the point where I would level her up, and she knew all of the spells that she could learn when she leveled up. So, she was a level, I think, 14 or 15, and she already knew 9th level spells. Couldn't use them, but she knew them. I was prepared for when she did level up. So, yeah, I never had a Kundayo in my party except for when it was one of his quest lines. Because I just, And then he also had a dog, or a wolf actually, which I really liked. But I was like, too many animals. It would get really annoying having to, when I would click the I to go in the inventory, having to go past his dog every single time. I already have to go past my cat every time, so it was just like, no. One animal at a time.
I would like to opt out.
Yeah, it's too much otherwise. It drove me crazy. I feel like I'm missing someone. I have to Google it, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Did you talk about the dwarf?
Harem, yeah.
Yeah.
I made him a sorcerer.
Yeah, that's right, you did.
Pathfinder, Kingmaker, companions. If I knew how to spell companions.
Compions.
Okay, so that's your character, Tristan, Octavia, Reganar. Jubilost. Oh, Jubilost was an alchemist.
You don't like him?
I don't like him. He throws bombs, which I guess is cool, but I again, another character. I only ever had him when it was his quest line. Jathal the Vampire, Lindsay, Valerie, Amiri, Kundayo, Knock Knock, Harem. Oh, okay. I guess I did get everybody. Because I also talked about the twins. So, yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. I will say, I did tell David that there is a small chance I will play this again, and I will have a different build, and I think I would use different companions. I feel like Valerie and Amiri would probably always be in my party, because I don't want to be a fighter, but having fighters is really helpful. What?
Something
Sorry.
I wanted to ask is, I like doing these games as what would my character do? Like, whatever I try to figure out, and I try to do my first playthrough as, okay, what would they do, so I can get sort of a authentic experience, and then I go through and go, okay, if I want to do more, let's do everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, like, do you want to do a playthrough where you don't try to get everyone and everything, where you just, your character answers how you think they would answer, or is that like, no, I won't have everybody, or so-and-so might die, or whatever?
I mean, I feel like I generally try to be a good character. I don't really want to be someone who's like, nope, I don't want you in my party.
Well,
I
sure,
don't want to have another companion.
But, there's good options that don't always lead to getting every character all completed at 100% companion
True,
quest.
that's true. Maybe. I don't know. I think the biggest thing is if I were to play differently, I would not be a druid. So I wouldn't be stuck with neutral options. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wasn't stuck with neutral options, but because I was a druid, I was trying to play to my character. True, I did almost always pick neutral options. If the neutral option was available, I took it. I mean, if I could do good neutral, I did that, but yeah.
Yeah.
We are literally at the end of the video.
Yeah, I told you to talk about it long enough.
I'm sorry.
And that is the end of Mandala Hummingbird by Awesome Pattern Studio Day 2. I got 5 hours and 4 minutes of footage. So this guy, it took me, almost 11 hours? It's a lot of colors. It's very pretty. It's a lot of pattern. Hummingbirds don't buzz, honey. We had this discussion yesterday, which to you guys would have been a week ago. So that's how my videos work.
Is it?
Yes. I am never doing more than one video a week ever again. That was not fun. So much editing, so much narration, and it wasn't fun. So on that note, I am going to I'm gonna probably go take a nap or something. I don't know, maybe have a snack. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys in the next video.